Are Marauders truly worth it? It's always a question that's a hot topic for a lot of players, and I'm going to tell you my opinion today. Along with that, I'll be telling you a few tips and tricks to maximize the amount of points you and your kingdom get for the Eve of the Crusade event, and I'll be giving you the best way to actually fight these Marauders, keeping your marches alive basically forever. If you are interested in this, then make sure you watch through the end, and if you're about to enter KVK and you want to do Marauders, this is certainly a video you should watch. So, first of all, how do Marauders work? Well, basically, these special barbarians will spawn during the time frame of your first stage of the Eve of the Crusade event. It will take about an hour for them to actually start spawning in on the map, but once they do, you'll be able to fight them, and then they will give you what are called scraps of parchment paper. So if we go into the Eve of the Crusade, it will give you these scraps of parchment paper inside like a little bag. You open it, and there's a chance that you get one of the, I think it's 8 scraps or 7 scraps of paper. And you can use, once you get all 7, 1 scrap of parchment paper to claim yourself a kingdom supply chest. These chests have a bunch of rewards in them, and I'll be opening 100 of them later in the video. Now, the best way to maximize your value from these Marauders is, first of all, a lot of kingdoms centralize their players in the Kingsline zone, but when Marauders spawn, it's best you teleport out to one of the outer zones so you can get the most Marauders possible, because everyone will be battling Marauders in the Kingsline zone. It's going to be very tough for me to find a Marauder by just looking around in here. So if you do really want to push Marauders, and I do it every time I push at least 100 chests, I like to teleport out of the Kingsline zone, away from as many players as I can, into an isolated zone. If possible, and there's a zone that one of the main, like both of the main alliances, or if you have a bunch of main alliances, there's a zone they cannot access, try and join a farm alliance and teleport into the zone. I think this is a zone that no alliances can access without joining a farm. So if you are interested in getting into these zones, this is definitely the best way to do it, and there'll be Marauders like littering this place since no one is really fighting here. However, even just teleporting out into like the beginning zones and maybe using a random teleport like these people have done, you'll find a bunch of Marauders. Like I'm up here, I've been Maraudering for like 2 days, and you can see there's still Marauders everywhere. Now, the Marauders are actually slightly stronger than a level 25 Barbarian, but it's not as bad as a KVK Barbarian, so they are still quite easy to kill. You can see that my marches are really not low at all. I wish it showed me how many Marauders I'd killed in a row, but these trips have been out for about 16 hours, and I haven't sent them back to my city. That was really lucky. I got 4 worn leather satchels. So the best way to fight Marauders effectively is just to be able to have so much sustainability on your Barbarian troops that they don't die. Like I've been fighting with these Barb troops for I don't know how long. Here's just a quick thing of, oh, I guess it deletes some of the reports. There's a lot of Marauder reports here, like a lot. And basically having your marches last as long as possible is extremely, extremely important. So the best way to do that is to have a peacekeeping commander. So if we go into your commanders, legendary and epic, I don't think it's worth using like elites and stuff. They die too quickly. Get yourself a peacekeeping commander. So any peacekeeping commander here. Now with your peacekeeping commanders, ensure you have a talent tree that goes all in on the peacekeeping tree just for this curing chant. This is really good for home kingdom barbarians and for Marauders. It's not as good for the KVK barbarians since they do a lot more damage and this healing factor is kind of less effective. If they do have the leadership tree, it's always nice to go up here and get the 9% extra healing. And if they have the support tree, you can go down here and get even more enhanced healing effects. So that's also another nice way to make your marches a lot more sustainable. If you are getting enough healing on your marches, you'll definitely be sustaining them for like a while. My marches basically only have like a couple formations and some armaments that I don't use. So I don't have any gear on them. They're not running with like any special boosts. Like I maybe have a defense boost running and that's it. My Belisarius is the only march with gear because he does seem to tank a lot more since he is a lot faster. And also my Belisarius talents are still very similar, going all in on the Barbarian tree. I think I accidentally was 1 point off. I should have probably taken a point out of here, but oh well, it doesn't really matter that much. Now, the other way to make your marches even more sustainable is to put them with an actual healing commander. So if your peacekeeping commander doesn't have any healing effects, for example, Ethelfled, I put my Ethelfled with a Frederick. You might think, Frederick, what? Why? Well, if you go and look at Frederick, Frederick actually has a healing factor. So if you look at his second skill, he has a healing factor of 1000. It's just a 10% chance to trigger, and it's really, really nice. My Belisarius is with my Cow Cow. Cow Cow, not because I think Cow Cow is very powerful or anything, just because Cow Cow has a healing factor on his 4th skill. I managed to get lucky and actually get that healing factor. I know it's a bit dumb how like his active skill isn't max, but I did really want the healing factor on my Cow Cow so that I could just sustain those marches as long as possible. A commander like Lohar though, who already has healing factor, I recommend just putting him with the support. So I have my Lohar with a Joan Prime, and that's certainly nice just to give you a little bit more tankiness. And for example, a commander like Boudica Normal, who doesn't have any healing as well, I think it's only a little bit of healing, I put her with Richard, and she's the main tank. So if I march troops next to a Marauder, I'll slide my Boudica, the normal Boudica, to attack them first, and then I'll swarm with my other 4 marchers. Since Richard's very tanky, I do really like that, but there are a bunch of other commanders that provide some sort of healing effect, and you can look into that more, like Cleopatra has some healing, pretty sure Sundok may have some healing. You can see there's a bunch of different ways to get healing on your commanders, and it's definitely a good way to sustain them for Marauders. So the next tip I can give you, which will actually affect your whole entire kingdom, is to trade as much as you can. So once you get down, maybe you've reached your goal of how many points you wanted. I wanted 700,000 points, I reached my goal. If I see any trade that I can do where I will lose one of my parchments and gain any parchment, I don't care what it is, I will accept that trade. Because in the end, I will be benefiting a kingdom member more. Since I won't be doing any more Marauders, I may as well just give them a chance to get more chests to give the kingdom more points. So for example, I just claim those Marauder parchments. I can just trade. Whatever, you can have this. I don't really care. I'm just trading with whichever ones I can. See there, I basically ran out of parchments because I think Lilith does tend to give you more of like 1 or 2 types of parchments rather than just giving you basically a bunch of every single one equally. They do say this isn't the case, but I feel like it is because a lot of kingdoms do tend to just end up with 2 parchments of each type left. So I think it's just very good to just be trading as much as you can, especially within the last hour, to push your kingdom up as much as you can before the next stage. Since any parchment papers left in your inventory will be deleted anyways, you may as well just trade them as much as possible. Now, doing Marauders is certainly not cheap. It's going to cost you a lot of action points. And then in return, you get Kingdom Supply Chests. And this is the main reason people do Marauders. It's not really for the points. You get way more points from training troops and even doing the Barbarian Forts. So doing Marauders, you're doing them for these Kingdom Supply Chests. And I'm going to open 100 of them, and I'm going to document everything I got. And I'll tell you in the end if I think it's worth it compared to just AoE farming normal barbarians or even just doing KVK barbs. Here we go, 100 chests now. So we start off with 3 million food, 30 advanced leather, 3,500 gems is nice, 6 million wood is nice, 3 days of speed ups, 200 gems, 4 iron ore elite, 500,000 alliance credits, 500 like 60,000 right there. A 3-day speed up, only 1 unfortunately, but I mean it's better than nothing. 3-day speed ups are the main reason you do these Marauder chests. A lot of 31-hour speed ups, a lot more gems here, a lot of ebony, a little bit of alliance credits. So you can see there are a lot of things in this chest that are very valuable. One thing to note though that I already know off the top of my head, these chests are definitely more valuable in the early game for 2 reasons. A, your barbarians in the early game for KVK 1 and 2 don't really give you any major boosts. Like yes, they give you extra resources, but they aren't giving you anything extra in terms of crystals or giving you a bunch of materials. That's really more the Season of Conquest barbarians. So getting the materials from these chests is definitely very good for KVK 1 and 2 since you can't get them from barbarians to my knowledge. Also, that's really good is getting these purple blueprint fragment like random chests because in the early game you're going to be needing as much purple gear as you can get and it's a really nice way to do it. Also, terms of knowledge are very prevalent in here and I also do like grinding that out in the early game as well since you do need a lot of experience points. One thing I also really like Marauders for is their individual credits. If you are looking to migrate out of a kingdom and maybe you're a passport or 2 short, if you can convince your leaders to let you out, you can actually grind up enough credits so that you can leave the kingdom. And I've done it before. I grinded maybe like 2 million credits from the event. It's expensive in terms of action points, but it does get you out of the kingdom, especially if you need to leave in a tight pinch. In return, you're at least getting a bunch of speed ups and gems and stuff like that. So I'm going to calculate everything off screen and it's going to show up on screen in a minute. In total, it cost me approximately 37,600 action points in my stashed action point recovery bottles, and about maybe another 4,000 or 5,000 from just logging in and using my normal action points. So in total, about 40,000 action points to get to where I am at 700,000 points. And here's what I got in total in terms of resources, etc. 3 million food, 3,500 gems, 6 million wood, 301 hours of speed ups, 23 green materials, 1 being a bone, 11 blue materials, 4 being bones, 2 purple materials, which were actually both iron, 9 random blueprint fragments, the bulk of which were cavalry, 690k experience points, 561,000 normal alliance credits, 5 legendary stars, 12 purple stars, 1 crystal key, 3 gold keys, and 5 epic commander sculptures. One thing to note is this is only from the Eve of the Crusade chests. The barbarians themselves actually give you more resources in compared to a normal barbarian. Here we have 46 resources for each barbarian, so 46,000. A Marauder gives about 54, so that is more. It's not just food, it just shows food here only, probably because of a glitch. I also gained about 4,000 arrows of resistance in total from this. We look into my others. I have 4,534 arrows. I think I already had maybe 1,000 when we started. I also gained a bunch more, like just small 1-minute speed ups. I'm at 21,000 now, and my training speed ups, which I used all of, I'm at 6,000. So you can see I definitely got a bunch of speed ups as well from just killing barbarians in general, and it's not all just from the chests in terms of the speed ups I got. In terms of resources, I'm sure I've got another couple, maybe 18 million of each resource. I did use my food tokens at one point, so maybe it was about 17 million of each resource I gained. That's not too bad, but overall, that's not as many resources as you would want. 23 million resources for that many action points. You could get more from a KVK Barbarian. That's where the pros and cons of this come in. First of all, you have the option of KVK Barbarian. So you can actually fight KVK Barbarians and AoE farm them. That means you use a commander that has an area of effect damage, preferably a circle, and you attack more than one KVK Barb. You can get maybe 3 KVK Barbarians for the price of 50 action points, or like the normal action point recovery bottle, and that's a really, really, really good deal. In KVK Barbarians, they give you crystals as well, which you need for your technology, and as a free-to-play, it's up to you to decide. Would you rather get more resources, gems, and speed-ups, or would you rather trade better on the field by getting more technology? KVK Barbarians also statistically give you more resources just in general, and also give you more equipment, things like material choice chests, and even just random materials that you get from killing them. I needed speed up since I had used a bunch of them, so I went in and I did the Marauders, and it was certainly a good option for me, and I still have a bunch of action points left to fight the Barbarians in this KVK. Overall, I think Marauders are definitely the best value up until probably KVK Season of Conquest, and then it's up to you to decide whether or not you would like to push these Barbarians, or if you would just rather get KVK Barbarians. If this video brought you value, even if you are just not even grinding Marauders and you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to the channel, because I'm pushing 1,000 subscribers by June 27th when I start my all Siege restart account. It's going to be a wild ride where I use only Siege units in KVK. Who knows how it's going to turn out? I don't. Let's see. If you're interested in that, then definitely consider subscribing. And I also want to say thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.